honestly,
impartially
impartially
discharge the duties of the firefighter
discharge the duties of a
of
firefighter
the City of Washington,
of the City of Washington,
according to law
according to law.
and to the best of my ability.
Because I got a lot of friends and family here, thankfully, a lot of people that supported me to get this job, and I've kind of come full circle being a second-generation firefighter. My father, Barry, back there, and I feel very blessed to have this opportunity to serve the community.
Right? I need your signature in 2 places and then you'll be done. Sign both of these.
Just a little bit.
No matter which one. They both want to sign. That's for you. Thank you. Okay. Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order for the Common Council meeting for February 10th, 2020. Can we have a moment of silence for our veterans, please? Thank you. Have a pledge of allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, can we have roll call, please?
Councilman Lunsford. Absent. Councilman Brown.
Here.
Councilman Gress.
Here.
Councilman Campton.
Here.
Councilman Emmons.
Here.
Councilman Dahl.
Here.
Councilman Showalter.
Here.
Okay. Here comes Councilman
Okay,
Lunsford.
yeah. Councilman Lunsford just walked in.
Okay. All right.
Present.
Okay, we, in front of you, you got a copy of the meeting of January 27th meeting. Is there any corrections or additions to these minutes? I hear none. So, can I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Councilman Dahl and Councilman Brown seconds it. Minutes will stand as approved, as read. Consideration of claims, you got the claims in front of you. Is there any questions or any on these claims?
Make a motion to be referred to the Board of Works.
Okay, Councilman Gress has a motion to send these to the Board of Works for approval. Seconded by Councilman Lunsford. Okay, we have, do we have any comments by the members of the public, anything that's not on the agenda for tonight? Check my notes, make sure I didn't have anything I wanted to say. Oh, I do want to welcome the WHS broadcasting class that's going to be streaming these on the web, on their website. Appreciate that. Having an opportunity for you guys to do that. Okay, I don't hear any other things. So we got one resolution, or few resolutions to read. The first one is resolution 1-2020. authorizing a transfer of funds in the IT department budget. Yeah, please, can we have a motion to have this read, please?
Second.
Councilman Dawes and second by Councilman Brown.
All right, resolution number 1-2020, transfer that the common council contemplating the meeting of certain emergencies does hereby consider and determine to expend and to transfer certain funds from one major classification of the published budget of said city of Washington for 2020 to another major classification, that fund being 101 general IT data processing from section 690 other capital outlays $3,500 to section 320 operating supplies $3,500 for total transfer of $3,500. This resolution shall be enforced and effect from and after its passage, passed in council this 10th day of February 2020.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve this resolution? Beth, do you want to explain this?
They're rewiring the city hall, and this is basically for cable and the things that go along with the rewiring.
Getting it ready for RTC.
And they had to move money from the capital outlays into the operating supplies. Our electric department is doing the work.
This is,
They also, he had servers in the budget, $30,000, that's where this money's, he's not gonna replace those servers this year,
Right.
so.
by doing the new internet, from RTC, we're able to not use the servers, and we have money budgeted for that.
This will replace a bunch of switches that are 4 years old and firewalls, and you won't have to replace them for another 4 to 5 years. We can probably stretch another 6 years, so I promise I won't spend any money for 6 more years.
I witnessed that. You mean on switches? Because next month, the computers are out of date.
This being recorded.
Yeah, you're on YouTube saying that.
That's the reason we got this now. Okay, yeah, I have a motion to approve this resolution. Randy Emmons, Councilman Emmons, do I have a second? Second by Councilman Showalter. Okay, we got reading of resolution 2-2020.
Motion that we.
Yeah, motion to read, please. These first two, the number 2 and 4.
Can we just do one motion to read all?
Yeah.
Since they're all the same, pertaining to the same thing, I'll make a motion, we read 2, 3, 4, and 5, 2020.
All right, since they're all related.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
All right, resolution number 2-2020, attachment A, DWSRF Loan Program Signatory Authorization Resolution. Whereas the city of Washington, Indiana has plans for a drinking water infrastructure improvement project to meet the state and federal regulations, such as the Safe Drinking Water Act, and the participant intends to proceed with the construction of such project. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Common Council, the governing body of the participant, that 1, David Rhodes, Mayor, be authorized to make application for a state revolving fund loan and provide the SRF loan program such information, data, and documents pertaining to the loan process as may be required, and otherwise act as the authorized representative of the participant. And 2, the participant agrees to comply with state and federal requirements as they pertain to the SRF loan program. And 3, 2 certified copies of this resolution be prepared and submitted as part of the participant's preliminary engineering report, adopted and passed by the Common Council of the City of Washington, Indiana, this blank day of blank 2020. Resolution number 3-2020, attachment B, DWSRF Loan Program PER Acceptance Resolution. Whereas the City of Washington, Indiana has caused a preliminary engineering report dated January 2020 to be prepared by the consulting firm of Midwestern Engineers, Inc. And whereas said PER has been presented to the public at a public hearing on January 31st, 2020 at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for public comment. And whereas the City Common Council finds that there was not sufficient evidence presented in objection to the recommended project in the PER, now therefore be it resolved that A, the PER dated January 2020 be approved and adopted by the City Common Council, and B, said PER be submitted to the State Revolving Fund Loan Program for review and approval, adopted and passed by the Common Council of the City of Washington, Indiana, this 10th day of February 2020. Resolution number 4-2020, attachment A, authorized representative resolution. Whereas the City of Washington, Indiana, herein called the participant, has plans for a municipal water pollution control project to meet state and federal regulations such as the NPDES discharge limitations, and the community intends to proceed with the construction of such works. Whereas the City of Washington has adopted this resolution dated February 10, 2020, now therefore be it resolved by the council, the governing body of said City of Washington, that 1, David Rhodes, Mayor, be authorized to make application for an SRF loan and provide the State Revolving Fund Loan Program such information, data, and documents pertaining to the loan process, including but not limited to all loan closing documents such as the financial assistance agreement, bond specimen, etc., as may be required, and otherwise act as the authorized signatory of the community. 2, the community agrees to comply with all requirements of the Indiana Finance Authority, the State of Indiana, and all federal requirements as they pertain to the SRF loan program. 3, that 2 copies of the resolution be prepared and submitted as part of the community's preliminary engineering report, adopted this blank day of blank 2020, the City of Washington, Indiana, by and through its City Common Council. And finally, resolution number 5-2020, attachment B, PER acceptance resolution. Whereas the City of Washington, Indiana has caused a preliminary engineering report, PER, dated January 2020, to be prepared by the consulting firm of Midwestern Engineer, Inc., and whereas said PER has been presented to the public at a public hearing held January 31, 2020 at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for their comments, and whereas the City Council finds that there was not sufficient evidence presented in objection to the recommended project in the preliminary engineering report, now therefore be it resolved that the preliminary engineering report dated January 2020 be approved and adopted by the Common Council of the City of Washington, and that said PER be submitted to the State Revolving Fund Loan Program for review and approval, passed and adopted by the Common Council of the City of Washington this blank day of blank 2020 at their regularly scheduled meeting.
Okay. Like I said, 2 and 4 is for signatures of mine. 1's water, 1's sewer, and 3 and 5 is on the public hearings that we had on January 31st. 1's water and 1's sewer. Richard, you got anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, we had the hearings, there's a few folks here, mainly from the City of Washington. There was one person from the public that attended. I answered their questions. As far as the cost estimates from last year when we originally did it, right now we're anticipating the sewer, what we estimated last year and what's in the PER that we're asking you to approve, we're about $70,000 higher than what we estimated last year. But on the water, we're about $66,000 less. So again, their estimates, we're pretty well to push right now. This is required as a result of the SRF financing when they take out your bond anticipation notes, and I'd recommend the council to consider approving it so we can get them submitted.
Okay. Any questions for Richard or anybody? It's just another step that we had to take to get ready for the west side construction that's going to be happening in the spring. If I hear no comments or no questions on this, motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Yeah, we'll need a roll call vote on this.
It doesn't need to be roll call, just need to be.
You just roll call on it. Okay.
Motion for all of them. Yeah.
Roll call vote?
Okay, Councilman Gress and Councilman Brown.
Okay.
Okay. Can we have a, when you get,
Voice vote's fine.
yeah. Oh,
Okay, no roll call?
No, that's just for an ordinance.
all right, everybody,
All in favor?
all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay, it's adopted.
And all must sign on all these copies.
Yeah, we got, yeah.
12 12 places for you. to
Anybody
sign.
go ahead?
Yeah, got a lot of.
Chief won't let us out till we sign.
Yeah, okay. We have one ordinance, ordinance 1-2020.
I move we read that by title and a brief summary in accordance with Lake Chambers' previous,
Okay, motion to read this,
22 pages.
Councilman Dahl, second by Councilman Emmons.
Ordinance number 1-2020, an ordinance concerning the current refunding by the city of Washington, Indiana of its sewage works revenue bonds of 2009 and its sewage works revenue bonds of 2010, authorizing the issuance of sewage works refunding revenue bonds for such purpose, providing for the collection, segregation, and distribution of the revenues of the sewage works, and the safeguarding of the interests of the owners of said sewage works, refunding revenue bonds, other matters connected therewith, and repealing ordinances inconsistent herewith.
Okay. We have a couple representatives here from Bose McKinney and Baker Tilly to explain this a little better for you guys. So whichever one wants to go first, John.
Well, I don't know if I won or lost, thank you, Mayor, but I'll go first.
John Seaver.
Yes, thank you, I'm sorry. John C.
John Seaver.
Where do you want me to stand, fellas? Here? I don't have a good side, so that's very nice. This is something new to me. I'll stand over here by you, Dan.
I'm not gonna help
Hey, that's what that's gonna say. So to explain the ordinance, and Christian Octopus is here to talk about the legal elements, but again, I'm a CPA and municipal advisor for the city. So just in very broad strokes, let's talk about the proposed plan. Again, this is in regards to the phosphorus project. It's not in regard to the US 50 SRF project. This is the phosphorus project that was required as a condition of your NPDES discharge permit renewal. Okay? So the proposed project costs have been provided to us by Richard and his folks. They are shown on the first page. And Richard, you'll have to help me here, but the city is under the gun with a very strict timeline under which they've got to get this project started,
I
right?
mean, within the NPDES permit, there was requirements for testing to make sure, or to validate where your limits were on the phosphorus. You were higher than 1. We have to get the phosphorus limits down to 1. And there's timelines within doing that in your permit. And within a permit, to meet that timeline, July 1 is when you need to be under construction. We're hoping if this moves forward tonight, we should be getting the IDEM construction permit here in the next 2 weeks. They've had some comments I'm responding to now. And with the OCR requirements, I'm hoping that maybe things move forward, we can advertise sometime in March, receive bids in April, and be under construction in May, if everything falls in line, so.
Any questions for Richard? Everybody is aware of the project and the need for the project. Richard touched upon it. The city was in receipt of a $700,000 grant from OCRA. So the remaining share that the city needs to come up with is approximately $1.2 million to fund the project. So the proposal is to refund the 2009 and 2010 sewage works bonds. To do that, to free up money to allow you to apply to the cost of the project. It's being done this way really to avoid the issuance of yet another bond and to take advantage of lower interest rates. So we believe on the second page, it's a little, print's a little small for that, I apologize. We believe that it will be possible to free up project funds in the amount of $1.2 million through the refinancing of the bond issues. This is the line item there called release for project funds, third up from the bottom, the 1.2 million. That's the goal here, is to create money to fund the project without having to have another bond issue by refinancing 2 of the outstanding bond issues. Next page, page 3, they're not labeled, for that I apologize. Page 3 of the handout You can see that in the initial years, there's actually a lowering of the debt service or a savings. Some of the later years, there's a little bit of an increase because the sewage works debt is wrapped around debt which is wrapped. All that makes sense if you look at the very last page. The goal here through the refinancing is to try to create as level a debt service as possible over the remaining life of the sewer bonds. The city would not want to do the transaction if its only interest was to perfect a savings. The savings on the transaction are really somewhat minimal. I think we've estimated them to be about $30,000. However, it does provide you a good opportunity to finance a project without the issuance of additional debt. So it's really a fortunate moment in time that we have we have interest rates low enough that would allow you to do this. So that's a very big overview of a very detailed transaction. I'm sorry if I didn't hit a home run, but hopefully everyone understands enough of what is being proposed. Chris, you're here to explain the ordinance in front of them.
That's right.
And thank you, Councilman Dahl, for your motion.
And also,
To read it on by caption only.
but right to understand is it doesn't extend any of the bond's length of
It
term.
does not.
Right.
It does not. Thank you. It does
And we
not.
said, me and David and a bunch of others sit through the meetings, and we decided this is the best way to go for the city, not to create no more new bonds, and to use this money off these bonds here to help pay for the project. Chris?
That's great. I'm Chris Chinock with Bose McKinney. I've met a couple of you, some of the new members I don't know. This is a project we started talking about last year with Richard mentioned that this was something that was gonna have to be done. And whenever the city borrows money, they don't do like a normal person does, go to the bank and just borrow money, you issue bonds. And that's what the ordinance in front of you tonight that starts the process. And the bond ordinance does a couple things, and John's touched on most of it. First of all, you will get some savings, just because interest rates are pretty good. And the second thing is it lets you do is, and you'll see this on page 2 of the ordinance, it lets you take your existing, whenever you issue bonds, you have to have what's called a debt service reserve, a rainy day fund in case something happens. Your current bonds require that debt service reserve to be in cash. Your new ordinance will allow you to post a surety or an insurance policy. So we're essentially going to take the cash from your existing debt service reserve and use that to pay for this project. And in return, we're going to issue new refunding bonds that has an insurance policy. You're going to be pledging the bondholders that if we do not make payments, you're going to be able to make a claim against this insurance policy. That's the long and short of it, guys. From 10,000 feet, that's what we're trying to do. Now whenever you issue bonds, there's steps we need to take. And I've given you a timeline, and you'll see that we have we're kind of on a sort of a tight time frame here to get this done. So tonight, we're the fourth step down. You're introducing the bond ordinance tonight. So I'm not asking for a vote, I'm not asking to suspend the rules. All we need you to do is have a first reading tonight and introduce it. This will then be up for a vote at your next council meeting, if that's okay with you all. So we'd ask for you to consider that on the 24th. And then once, assuming it is approved on the 24th, then we'll go through the process of going through the ratings, which Beth has done that before, and marketing the bonds and getting them sold. As our hope, as you'll see from the timeline, the next to last one, we hope to close this on April 30th. That would allow you, Richard and I just talked about this, if we close on April 30th, in between now and then, Richard would put this out to bid, he'd get the permit, put this out to bid, bring the bids in, have contracts back for you to consider at your first meeting in May. And you would sign them in May, and we'd turn the contractor loose shortly after that. And construction would be underway, hopefully, well before the July 1st.
The only thing I may add to that is with the grant, we need to work with SIDC and make sure we're tying in everything on their end to meet the requirements of the grant. So I'm thinking we can do that, and I think we're working collectively to do it, but if something comes up, we may have to slide it a little bit. But ultimately, we have to be under construction by July 1. There needs to be a contract in place with the contractor telling them they can start work.
Perfect, perfect. So, that's it. You guys, if you have any questions, any of us can hopefully answer any questions you might have. Otherwise, I think the ordinance is ready for your consideration.
Is there any scenario that we can't do the bonds this way? You said there's steps and the grants, part of it.
This, you mean, is there any way that this would not happen?
Correct, yeah.
I suppose, Doug, it could happen that the bonds, the answer's no. Your bonds are marketable, the city is an established utility, you have coverage, I just don't see this as, you have to jump through the steps, but this is gonna be a marketable security. Do you agree with that, John?
I agree with everything you said, except it ain't over till it's over.
Yeah.
And we'll all sleep better when it gets done, so.
Okay. Well, this, like I said, this is the first reading of this ordinance. We'll have a second reading of, we don't have to have no vote on this right now. The second reading will be February 24th, and we'll take a vote to approve this at that time. Okay, other business, anybody have any other business for the council?
It's not really for the council, but is there any way we could update your website on the council, on the new council members? Even if they don't have a picture, at least a name? Because I've been asked 2 or 3 times in the last couple of weeks, who's my councilman? And, you know, I have to ask them, well, who did they replace? Who was your councilman?
Yeah.
You know,
There should have been updated already, I'll check that out and see why it's.
there is not. I was on it tonight
Okay.
and looked.
Yeah, we need to look at that.
And again, even without pictures, you know, if you could just get names in there.
Yes, that will be Drew's very first thing, Thursday when he's in. Make him turn to the website.
Don't spend no more money.
No more. Drew does need a keychain for his, last name, $1.
Yeah, you got anything else, Doug?
No, that's
For-
all.
Okay.
I'm still acting as a commissioner for the IMPA. And IMPA has an annual meeting every year. I don't know who the speakers and stuff are, but I'll try to get it all to all of yous. And if anybody's interested, wants to go up and see what they got to say or what they're about, I'll just pass that information on once I get it. It's in April the 4th, I think.
The Indianapolis.
It's going to be at the Marriott.
Okay, you got anything else besides that? Okay. Councilman Lunsford, you got anything for tonight?
No.
Tom, you have anything?
Nope.
David?
No, sir.
Keith?
No, sir.
Alan?
I'm good.
Got anything, Tim?
I do not.
Beth?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay. All right, well, I'll call it adjourn this meeting. Public order works in 5 minutes.
Chin the string.
I'll give you, Tom, I'm not gonna- The meeting to order for the Board of Public Works and Safety, February 10th, 2020 meeting. Okay, you guys, we have approval of the minutes that's in front of you from, that was presented from the council.
I move we approve them as written.
I'll second.
Okay, Councilman Dahl and Woman Ash seconds it. We have a claims. Do we have any questions on the claims that has been submitted to you guys?
I'll make a motion to approve the claims as submitted.
Second.
Okay. Can we have a reading of the bank statements, please?
Funds in the accounts as of the end of January, 31,461,122.15. Includes interest of 44,181.07.
We have no donations at
Yes,
this
we
time?
do.
Oh,
Yes,
we
we
do?
do.
Very good.
Okay, we've got in this month, we received donations, $180 for animal control. The police received $800 check for the SRO car wrap. And Park received their $50,000 check from the United Way for the Longfellow Park and Playground. That's a pretty good month, $50,980.
Very good. Okay, discussion approval of the cancellation of outstanding checks that's presented to you. Stacy, you got anything you want to say on these?
These are bad.
Outstanding
Or these are best, these are all best, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I thought these was.
Yes, these are checks that, basically stale dated checks. They are written between May 26th of 2017 through December 12th of 2017. And for IC code 511-10.5, we are allowed to write those off, cancel them. And I guess I would need a motion to be able to do that. After 2 years, they are stale dated and
I'll make that motion.
Okay, thanks. Nita makes the motion and David seconds it.
thank you.
Yep, then that amount seems be a little lower than normal. I mean, it don't seem too bad. I think we've had higher amounts in the past. But
$1,386.97.
very good. Okay, discussion approval of utility write-offs. No, Stacy, I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself.
Yeah, we have $31,939.58. These are all accounts or accidents from 2015. The accidents are up this year from normal. We had issued an invoice to NDOT for an accident that was done with a contractor that they had for mowing. It's about $12,000. They are not going to pay that. They said the only way they would pay it is if we issued a tort claim, so we're asking for that to be written off. Our delinquent accounts, and we only have one because it's $3.92. The other ones are over $25, and that falls under our tax offset program that we've started this year. So that amount may go up next year, just because anything that gets kicked back to us, we will ask for a write-off for next year, so.
Tax offset program is a wonderful, wonderful deal.
So we're hoping that most of those from 2015 will be, we'll get some money from those folks.
On the breakdown for utilities, should that be the total of 31,000?
No, because of the accidents.
The accident, don't bring that, okay.
This is just for the accounts.
Thank you.
I will make the motion.
Okay,
that
yeah.
we,
Nita makes a motion to approve these write-offs.
Second.
David seconds it. Okay, next we got a request that came to the park board originally from Wesley Jones to close Memorial Avenue from northeast 21st Street east to 20th Century Drive on Sunday, December 6th at 3 p.m. until approximately 6 p.m. for the annual Travis Burkhardt Foundation 5K run. We told him we had to come in front of this board to get approval for closing the memorial there around the S curve and to the front gate, just from the front gate down, and then they're gonna also have them use the park drive-through, a little area there by the drive-through window to cut through, so for safety reasons, instead of going all the way to the front gate when they make their laps. And it, like I say, it should be just for no more than 3 hours, they think. They're just gonna make 4 or 5 laps, whatever it takes to do their 5K, I think. And Mike and Kim Burkhardt's here. If you have any questions for them, they're here to answer any questions on this.
Sounds like a good deal.
Yeah, they came and we told them, I don't have no problem with it, for the short time. We'll have to, do something, just let the people know coming from Eastside Park Road that it's gonna go west, We'll have, some barricades out there so they can't go any farther than 20th Century Drive.
I move we approve it.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll second that.
David makes a motion to approve this, closure on December 6th, and Nita seconds it. All right. We're gonna further discuss a request that we've,
Brian.
oh, Brian, yes.
Yeah, I just want
Yes.
clarification on that.
Yes.
Is it gonna be a hard close with barricades
Yeah, it's
in that area?
just for that area there for, yes, for,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, we thought for safety reasons, they asked and we closed her down for those 3 hours, and, we discussed other options, and this is better doing it this way than, the full-blown route they usually take. They decided this is the route they wanted, and, yeah, it'd be a full closure. I meant to ask you, Brian, if you had any complaints.
I don't think so.
Todd, you got anything against it, or Stephen? Any problems that, it should work out okay just for that short time, going around by the street department there. Okay, we're gonna further discussion on the request from Washington Catholic Schools for permission to paint a large cardinal bird on the street at the intersection Northeast 2nd and Heffern. This request came up, and Doug Campton's representing the school.
That was just, again, one of the requests. You
Yes.
guys wanted to kind of see a picture, a general idea of what it was gonna be. It will be a permanent thing. They will keep it, painted, clean, time to time. As far as who's doing it, they still don't have but it's not gonna be the art class. That I can tell you. Yeah.
And we discussed this request that came in front of the board before, and Brian, we've all talked about it. And Brian, you got anything on this you wanna?
I think it sounds great, but if we have to crack seal something in the intersection, it
Yeah, we
might.
just
I
had,
understand.
we just had to make them understand that
It might
anything that
cover it.
happens after this, we can't, we don't know what's gonna happen down the road.
If we have to do something for maintenance, they're more than welcome to go back in and paint.
And that's
the
what
road.
they're gonna have to do that probably yearly anyway.
We talked about
roads, so.
the paint issue. Did we talk about that once before?
I can point them in the direction of,
We
a
talked about
supplier that can provide a road.
just not your normal paint, but special paint that'll hold up. There's actually, and then this request, then we'll talk about they have a second request that, I don't think it's on the agenda, but they do have a second request. This is the first one. We'll deal with it first. Do you have any,
I move we approve it as long as they coordinate with the street department.
yeah,
Yeah, I would second that.
okay, David approves it. Anita seconds it. I agree. As long as Brian's involved in this, and, yeah, we can coordinate through them, and it's a good thing. On the second request, they're asking in front of the school on the second page, kids drop-off area.
Now, and that yellow, what they sent me, they just wanted you to get an idea, that's why they separated it, 29 and 40, but they want the yellow in front of the steps also. They didn't put it in there so you can get an idea how far they want it. But basically, and then some type of signs, which again, work out with Brian exactly, you know, what to say. But it's all about safety. It's not for looks, it's not for, you know, it's simply for safety. And then the question again, that we need to know also, is we want these, like I said, if we have to paint them, whatever we have to do, we'll do. We have to do the signs, we'll do them, if we're allowed to. But even though it's painted yellow, if you do approve this, can we put the A-frame signs out there during bingo where it says you can park here during bingo? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to, you know, I went and looked at it and trying to figure out how we could do that, because I know there's gonna be times other than the student drop-off that you're gonna wanna use those.
Right, well, and what they said was if, you know, we can get our own A-frame signs that will say parking permitted at this time or something to that.
I talked to Brian on this, and I happened to go there for Catholic Schools Week and do a proclamation, but I seen they open one end of each end of the barricades and let the cars come in and drop off. And I mean, I see, they kind of got a routine, they come up and drop off and they go out. Nobody's in that area during certain times, I think.
Can you just make it during school hours?
No, because what they do is if you say during school hours, they come at 7 o'clock and they park there and then they don't.
Put time.
Oh my goodness.
Huh?
Don't put time, I guess.
But that's what I'm saying, it doesn't matter.
I just think it's confusing if you throw out an A-frame, I could go do that out in front of my house.
It's really only gonna be, the A-frame will only be during bingo. There will be no school going on.
I
So it's a drop off, you know, and you know, you're WC, you know, that it's been an issue for ever, you know. And again, I have no problem, never let anybody park there, but bingo does, you know. So whatever we can get, what we can, you know. But,
Do they not use that during church service? Parking there?
truly, I don't know, honestly.
I mean, would you want it permitted then too, or?
Well, that's what I said, if they do, that's why I said if we could get our own A-frame signs and put out there parking at this time, we'll, you know, allow it. So, you know, like I said, again, that would be up to WC to get those, you know, those signs for sure. You know, you've seen the A-frame signs.
You know, the way they was doing it, and the way I said it that morning, they let the cars come in, there was no cars in there, they'd go up, they'd drop the kids off, and they'd go out the north side of that, lot. So
And the reason they're, of course, it's always safety, the reason, but what they're wanting to do is try to get all the cars to move up to where there's not one car dropping off. You can have like 4 or 5 cars dropping, and then there'll be 2 or 3 teachers out, you know, out there, you know, moving them up, saying, so.
similar to what Lena Dunn had done in the past, the way they got set up down there, it's similar to that, I think, is what they're trying to do, I think. They have kind of different designated areas, and then people are supposed to pull up and drop the kids off. So, how many spots will this be?
I've got footage, I don't know how many spots.
Oh, for this whole thing here?
Right.
Okay, and not in that middle section?
No, they do want, that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
They did not put it there because they wanted to give you the idea of
So
each section on the sides, but they want the yellow line, the total length of that.
So are you asking the street department to paint the yellow?
We'll do, again, we'll do what we have to do. If we get permission to paint them, we'll paint them. If the street department will paint them, we'll be happy to let them paint them. Same way with the signs. If we have to buy the signs, again, you know, we'll do what we have to do, so.
Mayor, I think we should paint it, so we have consistency in our.
Yeah, I think if we allow it, I think we should too. I mean, if we allow this, I mean, if the board sees fit, or do we,
In this area, we block off. And so,
it's,
It's not really blocked off.
it's semi-block, I mean, it's
Semi-block.
open, one lane's open in the mornings,
in the morning,
Correct.
both ends. They open up the south end and they come forward and they go out the north end.
but then they close out during the day.
They close it all day long, but,
But yeah, they're changing quite a few things. Before you park to bring your preschool, kindergartens in, now that's gonna be drop-off also. There will be teachers out there to escort the kids in. It's not just first grade through fifth. It will be all, like I said, kindergarten, preschool. We got 100-some preschoolers there. So,
Makes me cry to think about dropping off a preschooler.
yeah.
That's okay.
so,
Oh, no, they can park by the church and bring them if
Oh,
they want.
okay.
It's just no parking.
I'm just,
Yeah, I know, I get it. I do get it.
Mayor, I would maybe suggest, not for the sake of disapproving this, but we can't paint it right now because of the weather. Maybe
Look
table it and let us research some appropriate,
because how many signs were we looking at? Are we looking at one sign?
Well, possibly two if possible.
Okay. Yeah, we
Because if you
might
look
look
at the
at
distance.
table, I looked into this once, but this is a little different than what I was thinking. When I looked at it, I thought they was just wanting a drop-off area, kinda like in the front of the door, in an area maybe, just that area that's not really marked right now. I thought that's what they was wanting, just that area, but,
But if you ever go, if you ever drive, just drive down there when they're letting off school and that
Oh.
school, because you've got traffic all
yeah.
the way in.
Oh, I know, you
This
can't
way,
get close.
they're trying to get more
Inside that area.
inside that area to open up. So
Yeah,
you're
'cause
dropping
when-
off 4 and 5 kids instead of 1
Yeah,
kid.
if you want to go north on Second Street, right, when that is
It's not
being
gonna
done,
happen.
you can't go by the high school, because that area is just really congested.
Would the signage be a little better for time slot, because you do have basketball games, and wouldn't that be nice parking, it's limited around there?
The thing, like I said, the thing you have with time slots is, if you put a time slot on there, let's say it's 7:30 to,
11.
yeah. Well, so they come at 6 o'clock and they park there and they leave.
Well, at 7:30, they'll come get their
7:30,
car.
there's a tow
Then
truck.
they're gonna do what?
Violation.
Like I was telling him, it was either today or Friday, the other side's no parking. The guy pulls up there, Karen said, hey, you can't park there. He said, I'll be out of here before the tow truck gets here. I mean,
We already got like,
I'm sure
three
we
with
need to
gates
open it
in
and
it,
then
go back to
just throw a sign out there. I think if I go throw a sign out there
All
like
day
I have
long.
saying, well, go ahead and
I
park
think
here.
that's,
we'll
that
table
was
it.
not during school.
I'll look into it
It'll
more,
never
Brian,
say
Brian will look
parking
into it some more, we'll
during
talk.
school.
and get it done.
During school.
Yeah, because,
It does around Washington, that's why there's no.
yeah,
Say again.
yeah.
Around the school up there, that's
He
where
could
it's
fit in
at.
there if he wanted to.
No parking sections allowed.
I mean, and Todd, you think about this and see what you think about it, and we'll table it, we'll bring it back to, we'll put it on the next meeting.
Yeah, if that's what it has to be, yeah.
Because,
It'd be easier.
because like you say, enforcement,
That's.
if you had to.
Right,
If
a lot
you
of
had
the
to.
signs that we have currently, like, business only or whatever, that's just a suggestion that we're throwing out there because we don't have the ordinances to back it up to actually write those tickets. So, yeah, okay, strike that. Anyway, so a lot of those are suggestions. They're be nice and don't park here unless you're with the business, but otherwise, there's no ordinance in place for us to actually write the ticket for.
So the one around the school that says during school hours only, is there an enforcement there, or is that just a courtesy?
It's mainly the ones I'm talking, like the business sign that says business parking only, or, and it depends on the ordinance. And we have an ordinance in place that allows us to, right now, our ordinance is very, it's handicap parking, it's fire lane parking, it's, those type of safety issue parking things, not necessarily hourly parking. So that's where the problem comes in. I mean, if you put one, like there's one in front of the stitching post now, that's strictly a 100%, please don't park here, for except for business. We wouldn't be able to tow anybody or ticket anybody on that one. So there's ones like that.
You look into it, give us your opinion in the next, for the next meeting. We'll bring this back up at the next meeting on the 24th and we'll look into it, bring it back to the board. Okay, very good, thank you. Okay, and next on the agenda, we got open bids for the 2020 asphalt pavement advertised 121 and 128 of this year.
So we have two bids. One is from E&B Paving. And this contains a properly executed non-collusion affidavit. All right, we propose to furnish the following listed bituminous materials to the 2020 asphalt paving season. FOB HMA base 25.0 millimeter picked up from 152 South 200 West Washington, $54 per ton. HMA intermediate 19.0 millimeter, $57 per ton. FOB HMA surface 12.5 millimeter, $58 per ton. FOB HMA surface 9.5 millimeter, $59 per ton. FOB JASA high performance cold mix, $110 per ton. HMA base paving 25.0 millimeter asphalt base, $76 per ton. HMA intermediate paving 19.0 millimeter asphalt intermediate, $78 per ton. HMA surface paving 12.5 millimeter asphalt surface laid in place, no milling included, $80 per ton. HMA surface paving 9.5 millimeter asphalt surface laid in place and full street milling, $111 per ton. HMA surface paving 9.5 millimeter asphalt surface laid in place and transitional milling only, $140 per ton. HMA partial depth patching 25.0 millimeter asphalt base laid in place, milling up to 41 in and cleanup included, $48, 4 inches and cleanup included, $48 per SYS. HMA full depth patching 25.0 millimeter asphalt base, removal and placement of 12 inch of NDOT 53 stone and 6-inch base, $240 per SIS. HMA wedge and level 9.5 millimeter asphalt surface laid in place, $104.50 per ton. And cold joint adhesive surface laid in place, 50 cents per LFT. Tack, liquid tack adhesive applied in place at 0.10 gallon per SYS, $3 per gallon. Okay. The other bid is from Milestone. Right, it does contain a properly executed non-collusion affidavit, a bid bond, City of Washington Supervisor's requisition, HMA 9.5 millimeter surface with 1.5 inch milling, $143 per ton. HMA 9.5 millimeter surface with transition milling, $170 per ton. HMA 12.5 surface, $135 per ton. HMA 25 millimeter base, $240 per ton. HMA 19 millimeter intermediate, $135 per ton. AET tack coat, $3 per gallon. HMA 9.5 millimeter wedge and level, $20 SY. HMA partial depth patching, $25 SY. HMA full depth patching, $55 SY. Cold joint adhesive, $12.50 per gallon. HMA 9.5 millimeter surface FOB, $61 per ton. Excuse me. HMA 12.5 millimeter surface FOB, $61 per ton. HMA 25 millimeter base FOB, $56 per ton. HMA 19 millimeter binder FOB, $56 per ton. And cold mix, $130 per ton. That's it.
Okay. Brian, you got anything on this?
Well, there are, I know there's a lot of numbers there of different things that we asked for. There are two primary requests that are basically make up about 85% of what we're going to be doing. And that's the 9.5, basically a mill and fill, mill it off 1.5 inches, replace 1.5 inches. And then the 9.5 mil overlay with transitional milling, and E&B is less expensive on both of those. And that would be a contractor that I would prefer to go with. We can take it under advisement so I can make sure that other things in the bid are met. But that means we wouldn't be making an approval until February the 24th. And I'd really like to get on the schedule as soon as we can, so it's not November before we pay again.
Me and Brian did talk about this prior to the meeting, just talking about being on the schedule, and earlier the better, getting on the schedule, because we'll be on the list farther up, and there was a few specs that, like he's talking about, that need to be met, but we'll do whatever you guys want to do. If you want to table it, or if you want to.
We've had a good experience with D&B, and I move to go ahead and work them.
I second that.
Okay, we got a motion to approve the bid for E&B by David, and second by Anita. We do have a lot of paving, we've got a lot of, again, like the past, we've got a lot of paving scheduled, and what we want to do, we'll see. There again, it depends on how the bids come in on the projects, how much we can do. Okay. We discussion approval of salary position changes in the electric department. Can we read those two changes?
Yes. Okay, Ludo is requesting following salary changes. Kenneth T. Macklin, third-class tree trimmer at $21.86 per hour. To primary tree trimmer at $23.83 per hour. Todd Nycom from third-class tree trimmer at $21.86 per hour. To assistant primary tree trimmer at $22.81 per hour. The effective date for those changes would be February 22nd of 2020.
Okay, Randy, you got anything you want to say on this, or?
Just that pretty much since Jeff moved to assistant, that opened up the primary tree trimming position. The guys have been doing the work ever since, and are definitely qualified for it.
We approve the change.
Okay, David makes a motion to approve it, and need a second to salary position changes for both men. Okay. Next on the agenda, we got a discussion approval on a agreement with Osmos Utility Service Incorporated for pole inspection and treatment. Correct me, Randy, if this, have we done this, something like this in the past, or is this the first time we've done pole inspection by a company?
Has it been years?
We have never had a company come in since I've been there.
Yeah,
we've done it ourselves, but it's needed to be.
This shifts the liability.
Yes. Plus, there's a lot, yeah. There's 1,000 poles roughly to be inspected, And, this is an annual contract, right?
Yes.
Yes, and,
We was trying to get that in before I left, but with all the work that was going at the sub,
yeah,
we wanted to wait till it
Yeah.
was winding down, and it's supposed to be done this month sometime, so.
we talked about this, you know, I mean, we've not really had a chance to do this, and there's a lot of those poles out there. Now, if there's any poles that has to be replaced, this company can't do it. They'll call on us and we'll replace them, but.
Right.
Do we have a budget number? I mean, it's going to depend on the condition of the poles.
Yeah, they kind of average $30 a pole, so roughly 30,000. But like I said, some poles aren't going to need anything, and then some poles they'll actually move dirt away from it, check below the dirt, treat them if they could be treated, or hopefully fix them, or at least we could schedule them to fix them before they would go on overtime or
So it's
something
somewhere
like
between
that.
30 and 40,000 then.
Yeah.
And I asked, make sure the money was budgeted for this, and Stacy and Randy both said it was. Is this something we have to do every year? They have to be inspected every year? I mean, I'm just asking.
They would do the 1,000 a year, so then, they would keep track of where they were at on our system,
Yeah.
and then do another 1,000.
They're tagging them. I see there's a tag
Yeah.
How many
involved.
total poles do we have? Ballpark.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they did an approximate of 10,000, so they're thinking 10
15
years.
years. The only other question I would have is jurisdiction. It's set up to be the Georgia court. Is
That was the
concerned?
only problem I had, David. Yeah, and, but I don't know that it's something that we can really negotiate, but we need to be aware of that, because if there were litigation, you're gonna have to hire somebody in Georgia to represent us.
Well, I'm comfortable in that several IMEA members use the same company,
Yeah,
right?
correct. That's probably the good part about it. Yeah, I seen that. That is a concern, but, there's not very many of these companies evidently that do this around, and that's why this outfit's out of Georgia. I assume once they start, they're going to, keep going till they get this done.
Yeah,
I mean, we're not
once they
gonna
get us
go.
to the schedule, they'll
Yeah, once they get on
out.
schedule, we won't be no gaps like
There shouldn't
they
be, they'll have a
disappear
crew
for
in and
2 months.
get them done.
Okay. We talked about that. I think it's very important to do this, but I do have a couple of small concerns, to myself. But we've never done anything. The outfit's out of Georgia, but they are highly recommended by several places.
That's an important asset. We need to look at it.
Yeah, because it, we know we got some issues with some of them probably. And we can do this year. I mean, we can see how this goes. If it turns out to be a cost that we really are not expecting, then we can always look at it again next year. And but we, like 10 years, that's a 10-year stretch is a long time. But
I move we approve it.
motion made by David to approve it.
I second the motion.
Okay, Nita seconded. All right. Yeah, let us know how that goes, or kind of the time frame after they get, started, so we kind of, we know what's happening. I think it wasn't this outfit, I don't think it was them. Somebody was out here on these posts, and they were doing something to pull out here on the thing, but we might even have to just do something, public notice, let the public know about this, because they're gonna see some of these guys.
And they did say that their crews were real professional, and
Yeah.
they would knock on doors and let them know who they were and stuff also.
Because, if someone see a vehicle with Georgia plates, they're gonna wonder what's going on, so we'll try to work on some, public notice somehow.
We can also put it on the utility bills, just to
Yeah,
notice that.
that'd be a good thing to do. So about time they get ready to start. Okay, very good.
Mayor,
Yes,
the gentleman we're dealing with is actually down around New Albany.
okay,
I think just corporate is out of Georgia.
Okay.
I think they have places
okay,
everywhere.
that's better. Okay. Okay, very good. Well, just let us know and we'll keep tabs on that. Okay, next we got discussion approval of share the road sign placements. I wanted this coming from the board because, I know the stop signs and stuff have to come in front of the board, but these being this came in front of the board before the first of the year when I wasn't in office, because I was out there in the audience. I heard bring this, and Nathan Gabhart's wife came in, and we approved these signs and doing this program, which I have no problem. And I just wanted the request for the placements of them. I wanted to bring in front of the board, talk about it. There's another pole. I was a little concerned about where they're going, location, because there's another possible pole in the ground in front of someone's yard. We do have right-of-ways, but, you know, I mean, that won't matter. A lot of times they'll call in because there's another pole, another sign in front of their house. I wondered if, I was gonna ask Brian on this, if it's all, in some locations, if we're close to where we're putting this and there's another sign for something else, can we attach these? They have to be separate?
Inside the city limit, there's a minimum distance from the ground to the bottom of the sign so people don't cut their head open on it.
Right, yeah. I didn't really think about that, depending on, but I mean, that's just something we gotta be aware of. I wanted to bring it from the board so we know what's going on.
And they coordinated with you on these locations?
That's came from.
Yeah, that's
that
Brian's
came from
recommendation.
coordination, that list.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the locations. I just wanna make sure this board was aware of this.
I'll second that.
And David will second it. And on, well, another issue, a discussion of three-way stop on the corner of Vinegar Lane and Viola Avenue, which is my neck of the woods. I wasn't aware of these signs going up originally, and I asked Brian about them, and I've been out there for I've been out there all my life, but 34 years I lived on Vinegar. There was never a sign on this corner. There's a three-way stop sign. They did put some signs down the bottom of the hill saying, showing there's a stop sign ahead. You crest that hill on Viola, I was a little concerned at first, so you crest it. I'm not sure how much distance there is from the top of that hill to that stop sign, but on most days it wouldn't be bad weather, it might be a problem, but it's always been a problem. But I did call and talk to several homeowners, and one didn't really care so much. He didn't really have a one way or another, but two out of the three that live right there on that corner liked the idea of having that three-way stop. I haven't got, since I wasn't aware of this, I haven't got no feedback from it. I haven't got no calls on it since they've been put up. But there is an ordinance that we have that says they have to go, stop signs have to go in front of this board and get approved. So that's why I brought it to the board tonight, to get approval and talk about this for a second. Like I say, the neighbor right there on the corner, Mr. Williams, I called him today, and he actually has security cameras, video cameras that he videos this corner, and he says, told me today there's about 250 cars that come through there daily. I knew there's a lot of cars, but I didn't realize there was 250 a day. But he's got the equipment that he said he was monitoring this. He likes it. Police at one time didn't know about it at the first because they wasn't aware to keep an eye on this corner. I've started watching it there for a little bit. This happened about the 17th of January. But I watched it a little bit from the house, and at first I started seeing people wasn't paying no attention to them. They just kept going around the corner just like they always did. I had a school bus driver call me, and he wasn't aware of the signs at first. But it's one of those things that's never been that way, but it's going to take a little time for people to get used to them because everybody's used to going to the sports complex, and they're not used to having a stop sign.
How was it before? Any stop signs at all?
No.
None at all
No.
on any of them?
I really like the one coming from the north. That's a dead end, but it's coming to the north. And this girl does have a business she runs out of her house, that's a grooming business for dogs. And I like that one. It was never nothing there, but I really thought I might get some feedback from this. But I've been very lucky. But going that way now, it's just something to get used to if we decide that we want to leave them there.
And Mayor, can I? What prompted us to put those there? because I don't remember, I mean, we don't, usually, we usually will start putting in stop signs if there's accidents at the, at that.
Nothing's been, no
intersection.
complaints.
It's, pretty well a curve.
I got in here the first of the year, of course, and the 17th, I was told that it was there, so I had to drive up there just to make sure. And there they were, and I was caught off guard. And so I'm not used to them being there after all these years I've been out there, but
I was kind of surprised we didn't just do the north and leave the other one uncontrolled, but I'm sure.
well, like I said, we didn't really know how this all. So I wanted to bring it to the board and discuss it.
There has been one on the north before the other two.
Right.
I'm not sure how the timing was, but there was one on the north.
There is there's a dead end sign on the other side of the street that says, dead end going that way, but, I just want to see what you thought. I don't know. I had one neighbor that liked to see him pull, but the other two really didn't. So I don't know. I thought I really haven't, been able to figure out how I feel about it. Going from south to north, I thought maybe that was a good one to have there, and then the cars coming around the other way would be free. But
do we have any rationale for putting them in there? Or?
Last year when it was brought up to the board to put the no big truck signs on Viola, primarily for Indiana safety, and then going down and turning on to Bittinger,
yeah.
and then trying to get out on 6th Street and driving through people's yards. After a long discussion with Mayor Willman and some research in the manual on uniform traffic control devices, it was determined that intersection technically required one all along, because that's technically not a dead end, it's a through street. It dead ends into someone's driveway, but at that intersection, Bittinger is a through street, it's not a dead end.
Sure.
Requiring one at minimum on Viola. And in 2019, I think we got 6 complaints of people almost being hit. The traffic has upticked a little bit with the grooming business. People coming in and out of there, people are used to just turning on Viola with impunity, and several people have almost been hit by someone turning on the Viola.
with no sign there, and you come up over there's a lot of people used to cut that corner sharp and just come on around that corner a lot over the years. I mean, I've seen a lot of them just come on around. If you're coming from south going north, you could, if you're not paying attention, you could get cut off.
Mayor Willman told me that if it was supposed to have already been there according to the traffic control devices manual, was put up.
I think whatever we decide, I think we need to leave them there. The public will get used to it. There's no doubt about it. A lot of people have mixed feelings. most of them for the good of it. I haven't had no calls, but
It's been almost a month.
it's been almost a month. So if we can try it, and if we can get a bunch of calls and we start getting problems, then I guess we could readdress it. But if they do what they're supposed to do, it could be a good thing.
I'd move we leave it there for now.
A second.
Motion made by David, a second by Anita, that would leave the signs in place, but I did want, since we do have the ordinance in place, I did want to bring it officially. I didn't remember being on the council before, so I want to make sure we officially brought it to the council. Okay. Now, the last item I believe we got discussion approval on agreement with Baker Tilly, municipal advisors, and Bose McKinney and Evans for review of documents affiliated with the Jamestown Square project as yeah, you got anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, just, obviously the large amount of the bond issue that's being involved here, and the fact that the city is we're a conduit, I guess is the language that they use. Obviously, this isn't the kind of legal matter that I spend a lot of time on in my daily practice, and we thought it was a good idea to get Bose McKinney and Baker Tilly involved in reviewing these documents for us. They're already involved in doing it, and they've been very helpful, so I think it's necessary. Moreover, it gets by the Jamestown.
Yeah, they did have that in the clause, that they have to pay for the legal fees. So Beth, we talked about it, we talked to Tim, we've had a lot of discussion on this. We thought it was good for the city to have these people look at these and say it's okay before I sign these papers, because we want to make sure that the city's not liable for nothing.
I move we approve both agreements.
I'll second that. David approves these documents be approved, and I'll second it. And I guess maybe I messed up on the first time. I do have one more thing on the agenda, discussion approval of the write-offs for the utilities. I guess someone had wrote it on here. I guess with that, it should have came from this body.
We did.
I mean, did we do it earlier? Okay, somebody wrote it on the bottom of my page, and
Yeah, we did
Okay.
it number 6.
okay, we're good. I thought we did, but I didn't think it was on there, but someone wrote it again, so I thought maybe I messed up.
We do it again.
Yeah, we don't need any more write-offs. Okay, well, did you hear anything? Anybody from the audience got anything for the board, Public Works? Hearing nothing, I'll call this meeting adjourned.
You say David's gonna work on the